Okay, I was DJing on the stove. That was fun.
Oh, Wiki.
Okay, you know what? You have to toast your loved one this year with a bottle of bubbly on Valentine's Day, don't you think?
Of course.
Well, of course. Mixologist and wine expert and our good friend Kate Gerwin joins us with a few tips to get you started on your champagne journey. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very good. I love when you're here. And I want you to explain what actually qualifies as champagne, okay? Because, you know, there are actually different grades of champagne, and there's a difference between different kinds, and the grapes are different in the use of the production of the champagne. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, in order to be called champagne, the wine needs to come from the Champagne region of France, and that's really the most basic thing. Sparkling wine can come from all over the world.
Okay.
It cannot be called champagne unless it comes from the Champagne region of France. So
and it's easy to remember because champagne is a French word.
A really good thing to learn is method champenois or method traditionnelle, which means that it's made in the style of champagne, but it probably didn't come from the Champagne region of France. So if you see something like that, that means that it's made in the same quality. It's probably taken a lot of time, a lot of effort. They do the natural fermentation. They're not injecting it with CO2 or doing it in large stainless steel tanks. They're doing it in the secondary fermentation in the bottle. But the main thing about champagne is it cannot be called champagne if it does not come from the Champagne region of France.
Very interesting. Now, I like sweeter champagne. Can you explain the different levels of sweetness?
It does get a little bit confusing, especially for a lot of people, but there are different levels of sweetness.
Okay.
The sweetest is Doux, D-O-U-X.
Okay.
That's considered a dessert wine. It's very rare, actually.
Okay.
And then we have demi-sec. Demi-sec. Then we have sec.
Okay, so dough, demi-sec,
demi-sec, sec.
Okay.
Then we have extra sec or extra dry.
So, okay. So
Brut.
Yeah, so when it's brut, clearly
Brut
it's
is the
dry,
most common,
it's not as sweet.
Correct. Most common found wine that you're going to find is Brut, and that's my favorite, actually, is Brut. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you have extra Brut, or Brut Natural, which is going to be even drier. There's 0 to 5 grams of sugar per bottle. It's real small amount.
Well, what are we tasting today?
We have some great stuff here.
Okay, good.
I brought a wine that is actually outside of the region of Champagne, but still same thing. This stuff, I did bring one sparkling wine. Gruet.
I love Gruet.
You can't not. Now, I'm just going to, you know, a lot of people underestimate New Mexico, especially for our wines, things like that. Gruet is, I mean, I poured it by the glass when I lived in Napa. They got this wine in particular. One of the most important things that every winemaker looks for is the Wine Spectator Top 100. Every year they do 100 wines that they think are the best quality to price ratio. Number 43 this year. 43? 43 from New Mexico. That's big stuff.
And by the way, before I start tasting this, I have to provide a little fun fact. This is really interesting. I found this out. The size of the bubbles determine the quality of the champagne. So tiny bubbles indicate a higher quality, and the large bubbles are actually the mark of a lesser quality one. That's so interesting.
It's also the longevity of the bubbles.
I say lots and lots of little bubbles.
Lots of tiny bubbles. I did bring good stuff for you.
Where should we start? Where should we start?
Well, right here. Go ahead and give that a little taste.
A little swirl.
This is, you know, this is a Cremant, and what that means is that it did not come from Champagne, but it was probably made in the same style, high quality stuff.
It's good.
This is where you're going to get some value because you're not coming from the region of Champagne, but you're still in the high quality production levels.
I love that.
Yeah.
And why are we drinking them out of flutes? I mean, is there a reason that you would always drink champagne out of a flute?
There is. It's the size of the top. It's the surface to ratio, the longevity of the bubbles.
Really?
So when those old style coupes, you're actually going to get a dissipation of the bubbles. And the whole thing about champagne, obviously, is you want those bubbles in the glass.
Oh my God, that's so interesting. Okay, so now what's the second one?
This is the Gruet.
This is the Gruet. I know,
like
I love Gruet.
This stuff is amazing. That you can tell the color differences. There's 3 grapes usually used in the method of production for champagne. Pinot Noir, Chardonnay are the top 2, and there's a lesser grape called Pinot Meunier.
Pinot Meunier?
Yes, which actually you don't see very often. It's mostly Pinot Noir or Chardonnay.
I love this. This is good. I'm going to be drunk by the first 10 minutes of the show. Great. I feel bad that I'm not sharing. What would you pair foods with? I mean, what would you choose?
Champagne has an incredibly high acidity level, so I think that champagne is one of the most food-friendly wines in the world.
So do I.
Obviously, there's champagne and caviar, you know, because of saltiness. It's great balance. But personally, for me, I think that the way it cleans your palate, there's really no way that you can go wrong, especially if you're looking for like a rosé, a nice big steak, something that has a little bit more Pinot Noir. It's going to have a little bit more of that strawberry quality.
On Valentine's Day, I think chocolate.
Yes.
Is that what you're going to say?
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I personally, I like almond joys with champagne because I like the coconut, the nut, and the chocolate together, and then a sip of champagne.
Well, the chocolate's going to coat your mouth. you have that, and then you have the acidity level, kind of balances that out. Really good stuff.
Now, what's the third one?
These are both Nicholas Fouillat.
Okay.
These are what I would think of like the quality, most amazing price to quality ratio champagnes that you can find around here. They're incredibly high-end champagnes with the price tag of something that you can afford and not spend a whole bunch of money.
This is different though, Kate. I like this.
Isn't that nice?
Different, yeah.
And then I also brought their rosé. This is more of the Pinot Noir side.
Now, is a rosé going to be sweeter or drier?
No, not at all. It doesn't have anything to do.
Every time I see pink champagne or rosé, I immediately assume sweeter.
No, that's just the skin contact. That just means that the grapes had a little bit more contact with the red skins, so they got a little bit of extraction.
That's what it means?
It does.
Gosh, I learn something new every day on this shop. Ooh, that's good. See, this might be my favorite so far. I don't know what it is. Yeah, and I usually like sweeter wines, but for some reason with champagne, I do always prefer rosé.
Well, and there's always ways you can spark it up a little bit. I know how much you like Saint Germain.
I love Saint Germain.
Splash of Saint Germain inside your champagne.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm gonna try that for sure. Okay. And then this is the last one.
This is one of the most amazing champagnes on the planet, Mum. This wine is actually a blend of 70 different wines.
Whoa.
Champagne is usually non-vintage, meaning that it's not one particular year. They blend from different years. This is 70 different wines in there.
That's amazing.
It is.
And of course, I want to remind everybody, if they are going to be drinking Valentine's Day or any day of the week, please do drink responsibly. That's the number one thing. But these are all incredible. Incredible. And I love that Saint Germain bottle sitting right there.
I know. I brought it just for you.
Now, I want to mention something else. You're actually going to be mixing it up this weekend. Big deal. At the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. So talk a little bit about the event for our viewers.
This is the second annual Get Your Cocktails On. Hard Rock Casino does this amazing bartending competition. It's this Sunday, February 12th. It's at 1 o'clock. Tickets are only $10. That's it. And it gets you into the after party.
Ooh, those are always good.
Oh my gosh, we have some of the best bartenders in New Mexico. Going to shake it up, and I got to tell you, including me. Thank you.
And let's have a cheers to that.
Please.
Let's drink to that.
Salute.
And salute. And thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime.
Great tips, and I hope you take these tips for Valentine's Day. Watch this segment back on Casa.com. Now, this Valentine's Day, you might want to think outside the chocolate box. Unique gift ideas are coming up next on New Mexico Style. Cheers.